Are you talking to me or somebody else?
I'm talking to Ann Fallon.
Hi, Ann. It's Aileen. Alex. It's Alex.
Hey, Alex. Oh, John.
Is it 4 o'clock?
It is.
Yeah.
Take it off. Okay.
Okay. Hey, Alex.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Uh,
I know. Okay, so I am talking to you from the beautiful. Bye, Ann. I'll call you
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Hey, Ann. I mean, Alex.
Yeah.
I gotta stop letting Facebook Live. Hold on. Okay, so you see me? All I see is
I do.
the top of your glasses up is all I see.
Okay, good.
Come on.
Okay, I'll fix that. I'm just inviting Erica in case it's not working.
Can I do a little experiment? I'm going to go over to the microphone and tell if you can still hear me okay. Are you still hearing me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm actually in the meditation setting up on the stage right now.
Oh, God, look at that's so beautiful. And it's still broadcasting too, I think.
I don't know. I think I'm out. Am I out?
Now I see you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
You can stand if you want, but it's going to be boring political talk. Right?
Okay. God, there are a lot of sirens around here today. We have a hospice across the street.
Oh,
Okay, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
All right, this is how I'll be the vein will be broadcasting the meditation tomorrow. I'll be sitting right here.
Well, it's a little bit broken up, your speech.
Okay, that's not good.
Oh, okay.
That
But
better?
not better. Hi, Erica.
hi.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. How are you?
I'm good. I got a little bit more sleep last night. I thought, yeah, I had my second round of Corona.
You did?
I had a couple of Coronas the other night too.
Oh, okay. I'm like, no.
Well, you have time to think about, oh God, is this it? I've got it. Oh my God, and then you recover and then you get it again.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, as you can see, I had like insomnia or something this morning. So that's when I read your email, like 4 o'clock my time. And
Oh.
replied back. So I was like, I hope
no.
it doesn't like buzz or anything and wake her up, her phone, like a notification or anything. So
Oh no. Oh, it didn't. I was fine. I know better. I've got kids that.
cool. Well, I did speak to Mike.
Okay.
Or I can wait until we get to it or whatever. But we just got off the phone.
We're dying to hear it.
Okay. So it was a good call. He was okay with the list that we gave him. I told him that was just a starting point, but I did get the feel, like you said in that email, Alex, that they may not be too open to a lot of progressive groups, a lot of grassroots groups. He is going to forward over some PA groups for add to the list. He
Okay.
didn't say when, but he did say that he has some organizations and some groups that he'll share with us to add to our database. And as far as the financial resources, they don't have any. They typically don't provide any for any groups.
Okay.
Now, what happens is, they may help with literature, but everything filters down from the state party. So,
Okay.
yeah, that would be
But
like
the
the
state party though, right?
Huh?
But, everything filters from the state party to the state and locals? Is that what it,
Right.
or to the local
Right.
groups? Oh,
The
okay.
local- So he thought he sent us an email, and I don't know, you guys may have received an email from him yesterday. I didn't,
I did
but
not.
I told him I didn't either.
Okay.
Be on the lookout for one, because this is going to talk about the upcoming meeting that he's going to call with these particular groups or whatever. And hopefully next week, the meeting will be sometime next week, where we'll really get into an action plan on where we're going with the groups. I told him, as far as the 100 and some odd that we have in our like 2 databases, like it's going to take some time to go through all of those and get contacts with those. So as I continue to look through them, if that's what we choose to do, I'll maybe filter him more names at a time. But because there are 2 databases, right? Like there's like over 100 groups.
Yeah, there's more than that. So I did a closer scan of things, and I think there's 325 groups and 244 emails, which is
Yeah.
kind of odd, more groups than emails, but and just to explain my database a little bit further, I wanted to have a separate line for each email that we had. So
Mhm.
we might have multiple lines for an organization, and even a couple of different focus areas as they filled out different questionnaires over time. But there is a unique row for each email. And I tried to be consistent and repeat as much information as I could from the rest of it, so I could fully pop the rest of the organization, so I could fully populate the spreadsheet. But
Mhm.
but that okay, sorry to keep take you off track there.
No, that's okay. So what I told him is, if we continue to go through those lists, we would feed him over more contacts to add to his database. But he did say us doing this directory has prompted him to do a directory for Maryland Dems, because they need something like this as well. So
John, are you listening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
he said that's prompted him to, try to do something like that for the organizations and the different parties and clubs and things like that.
Who's going to be coordinating that specific database, that list?
He didn't say, well, Michael didn't say who.
Okay. Yeah, I was working a lot with Sam.
Okay.
Sam and I were doing a whole bunch of this with merging with the Do the Most Good and the Jaywalkers and the various pieces that were there, but Sam's not there anymore. So I don't know if it was going to be taken over by, it's not Rich, it's who took over Sam's data position? Is that Rich?
John, that would be a question for you.
What's the question?
There's actually be a Maryland Dems question. It'd be a situation of who took over for Sam Hubbard at the Maryland Dems. It's Rich, right?
I don't know anybody over there anymore.
Okay. Nice outfit, John.
So that was basically the gist of our He's gonna follow up with an email that we should receive today as far as when we will have when the meeting will be scheduled, when the first meeting will be scheduled. I don't have a time frame when we'll receive that list for Virginia, for PA groups yet, but that is something that he's gonna get us that we can add to our database. And I figure that, oh, go ahead.
Question. Are these
Okay.
PA activist groups or are these PA Democratic Party clubs and committee members?
I think these are PA activist groups. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I got from the conversation. And I figure we would know more after this first meeting, because he did say that that's going to be part of the conversation. The meeting next week with the groups. So it's
Is he
basically,
asking the Pennsylvania Democratic Party for contacts too, or just the groups?
I think just the groups.
And is Dan still on? There's some background noise. Somebody needs to go on to mute.
Let me see, maybe it's my TV. Let me go and turn this TV down.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Just give me a sec.
Hey, Scott, do you recognize the setting I'm sitting in? Are you there, Scott?
John, Scott's on mute or,
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, John, but you're a little quiet because you might need to get that microphone a little bit closer. But yeah, it's a beautiful setting.
yeah.
How's that?
Much better.
That's good because I'm trying to set this up for the meditation tomorrow. So that's good feedback for me. So is this clear now?
It's it's about twice the volume it was before. You were clear before, but very soft. Now it's louder, still soft, but it's not a full volume yet.
Okay, because I tested this. I set up the exact volume of our favorite video on my computer at home. And I had it set so that when I spoke here and then switched and turned on the video, that they were at the same level. So
It's
it's
actually-
interesting to me that it sounds low to you because I know you know how to run your sound levels. So
You know, I can boost it. It's just everybody else who's sitting on with laptop or iPad microphones that are 12 inches away are at a different volume level. So you may actually be fairly well set. Sorry,
okay, but now I'm in the right range.
I'm hearing you just fine though. Yes.
Good.
Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add from the conversation, as far as the mass mailings to the Maryland registered Democrats. So they typically don't send out mailings per se, but they do send out a string of emails. And the latest one was last month. Yeah, was last month. They sent it out to all of the registered Maryland Democrats. But that's how they will look to recruit callers for Pennsylvania.
So they are going to do it.
So they are gonna,
Okay. Okay.
Yes. via email.
And the Democratic Party is going to set up the calling sessions.
Yes. Yes. He did mention if we knew any callers that would be relatively good to speak with some of the more conservative Pennsylvania voters. If we could throw them a list of maybe like 5 to 10 people. So I was thinking maybe, do you think that's something that the Women National Democrat Club could help us with, Alex? Some of their people?
Yeah, I think, and I think actually Jim McBride might be a good one.
Yeah,
To ask him to do it and ask if he knows other people that could do it.
yeah.
I'll ask him.
Okay.
Well,
I tell
the worst that could happen is that he fights with me. And I'd hang up on him, so. Okay, it's not funny, I guess. But,
Um,
um,
so yeah, I was just looking over my notes, but I think that's pretty much everything that we covered in the meeting today. I'm
Are you gonna-
waiting to look at his email that he's gonna send out. And we'll meet after next week's meeting as well. He and I will meet after that meeting.
Okay,
And you all should receive an email today. He said he was having some email problems, but he's gonna try to resend that email from yesterday.
so this email is going out to all the 40 people that you identified, Erica?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
And us.
yeah. So I don't know if there's any more that he's adding on, from his end, but yeah, it's go out to the group that we sent the spreadsheet. From the
Did you
spreadsheet.
ask him if he is in touch with the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania?
I did not ask him, but that could be something that I can ask him.
That'd be interesting to know, because I think if he's not doing it, we should.
Okay. Okay. I can find that out.
Okay, I'm just taking notes.
Mhm.
So what do you think our next steps are then, Erica?
So I think it's gonna be really depending on this meeting next week. But I don't know if he's gonna need us or want us to help set up call time, virtual call times. I mean, I don't know if that's a part of our role. Is that something we want to get involved with? At least with the groups that we've, passed on to him. Is that something that we want to coordinate on our end? Or I guess how involved do we want to get with the phone banking? Because I think that's the big thing right now.
Scott, what do you think?
Just doing a quick little check right now, like for example, the Jaywalkers do the most good, and the folks, we've got a whole bunch of virtual letter writing parties, that one on the 9th, the 14th, the 16th, the 21st, as well as Write from Home. The virtual phone banks we also have for Pennsylvania on the 11th, and then there's training sessions. The only one that's actually scheduled for a phone bank is the 11th, but there's actually virtual phone bank training sessions set up for the 9th, 10th, and 11th of April, and that's it for the rest of the month.
So Erica, I guess I'm confused. Is this meeting that he's planning for next week, is this just organizational in structure, or is this an actual phone bank?
Well, I think this is an organizational meeting. I think this is an introduction, just organizational meeting.
Okay.
But I could tell from the conversation that some groups have already started phone banking for Pennsylvania. So it wouldn't surprise me if, right after this meeting, he maybe wants us to start helping with that.
So maybe
Court-
one of those groups will step forward, like Swing Left Howard County or something like that. Would volunteer to do
I
it.
understand. He is going to mention that piece in the meeting about the phone banking. And
You
know.
just want us to be prepared to volunteer if that's what we feel inclined to do.
And I just want to see exactly how in depth we want to get into it. Is this something that we want to coordinate? Do we just want to, help out, or what?
I think the biggest issue, if there is an issue, I'm not saying there will be, but the biggest issue we had in the past was coordinating with jaywalkers. I still to this day don't know, or maybe you do, Scott, if they ever coordinated with the Democrats. My people told me that they never heard a word from jaywalkers, and it really put me in a bad light at the time, because I kept telling them we're going to get all this help from jaywalkers and not not one word. Neither did they ever return a single email or phone call. So I think but if they're going to run off and do, and they did a lot apparently, just nothing we knew about. If that's going to happen again, it would be nice to know that at least, so we can just back out of Montgomery County altogether.
Yeah, Montgomery County is fairly well filled. One of the things we were trying to do, and I'm one of the founders of the Jaywalkers, and so I actually helped set up their whole back-end tech support system, et cetera, and it's now running entirely independently, but it is pretty Montgomery County centric as far as who the volunteers are. But our emailing list is between 11 and 12,000 strong, so it extends out to a fairly extensive network. But one of the things we've talked about, but it hasn't yet been affected, is getting it out into Howard County, getting it out into Frederick County, et cetera, and expanding it as a role model. But right now we had already, before the coronavirus set up, we had, I think it was like 290 events set up between now and Election Day. Phone banks.
But Scott, the question is this.
It's in coordination with the Democratic Party, though, because John Hines is one of my friends, as well as Barbara Naveau. We're on the Field and Data Committee of the Democratic Party.
So they coordinated with the party? That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, there is coordination going on. It's not real tight, but pretty much Montgomery County is taken care of, and that was their sort of understanding, is we don't have to worry about Montgomery County because it's taken care of. So the Democratic
Party.
I'm
not talking about Montgomery County. I'm talking about Pennsylvania. So if folks in Montgomery County are just totally independently doing phone banking to Pennsylvania, we don't know what parts of Pennsylvania. How then is the Democratic Party supposed to plan efficiently if they don't even know what's already being covered? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there was enough. There's a lot of what the Jaywalkers does is not just Jaywalker activities, but they coordinate from quite a few different groups, including Swing Left. We were very involved with Mobilize folks. We were very involved with the Progressive Maryland. So there's a lot of different groups. So effectively, yes, we canvass. So effectively, any canvass going up that was around the area was hosted on a Jaywalker site, even though it really wasn't Jaywalkers the event, because Jaywalkers doesn't really do any events. It basically broadcasts a distribution for a sign-up system for it. So it needs to have greater coordination. That's one of the reasons I was on the committee as well. But we were working out already when Sam was there before she left for the Bloomberg campaign, was to actually coordinate how we're going to coordinate activities up to Pennsylvania, out to Delaware, into Northern Virginia, or actually all of Virginia. It's still on hold, which is why I've had a couple conversations with Michael, but they had not been set up yet with a plan, because they had gone through the new, the changeover at the top from Maya leaving, et cetera. So that's part of where we're interested in seeing what the Democratic plan is for this, but with Sam's leaving for the Bloomberg campaign, it again got sort of derailed. So this is sort of the first round of how to do it, how we want to do it this next round. And I'm sort of going in circles, but there was coordination, there was conversation about how we need to coordinate it much better. And I guess now we're in that phase, which is kind of what Blue Wave Maryland is all about.
So all you can ask is that people start talking about that. That's great.
Yeah, so it's a topic of conversation without anyone really knowing who's doing it, and they're waiting for direction coming from the top.
But so Alex, this is where, and Erica, I think this is where you guys could step in and offer to coordinate. I mean, I don't think even Eva, who was there, she knows how it was. I don't think she remembers how disorganized the whole thing was. So if you guys could, and Scott especially, if you guys could in any way coordinate this better, I think that'd be our biggest contribution.
Yeah, because it would clearly, Jaywalkers came and do the most good, et cetera, as a Montgomery County centric, but there was virtually no coordination outside that. And that's part of what we need to do for this year. And
because Baltimore has a lot of people. I personally know people from Baltimore that go up there, and they're very active in Baltimore. So if we could at least, let's see if the Baltimore people are hitting the same places that the Montgomery County people are hitting in Pennsylvania, that is a waste of people's time.
Agreed.
So I think that's the coordination that has to take place. It's Baltimore and Montgomery County have to talk to each other and say, where are we targeting in Pennsylvania? So we need to know that. That makes sense?
Yeah, but I'll also let you know, a lot of times it was campaign specific. So a campaign would then have various outlets for running
Yeah,
off
I
lists.
understand that, and that makes it all the much more difficult, but we don't have that problem this time. So we ought to be able to coordinate it better.
Right, now certainly not at the national level, the national ticket, but when it starts getting down into local races,
But we're not dealing with local races now. I'm just talking about now.
right,
We don't have one race we're dealing with here. So it seems like Baltimore and Montgomery County ought to be able to say, we're going to hit these parts of Pennsylvania and you're going to hit those parts of Pennsylvania. And someone like us would be in the middle that says, okay, here's the list of who's hitting where. You see what I'm saying? It's much, much simpler this time, in theory.
right. The only exception being if there's several phases to it. One, of course, is the registration phase. So right now, registration phase is big and heavy, is making sure everybody's registered to go and vote. And then there's going to be the persuasion element of it, which is going to be, easy, but we got to make sure we get to them. And then, of course, it's the get out the GOTV stuff. So at this
Either
point,
way, whatever phase we're in, there's no need to overlap efforts or duplicate efforts.
right. And that, especially for Pennsylvania, though, we don't have access to the voter files. In Maryland, of course, we have access to all the Maryland voter files, but Pennsylvania needs to be a separate entity. So you're right on, John. There needs to be a coordination of saying which voters, for example, who have been registered in the past but have not been active in the last 2 cycles, all need to be contacted to make sure that they get active and registered again so that they
Right.
participate in the next.
And do you know we don't have access to this? Anyone asked for access to the Pennsylvania voter files?
I believe that it's NGP and who generates the van lists. It's done on a state-by-state level. So even the state Democratic Party data people did not have access to the other states, including Virginia and DC.
Yeah.
I just know that because I was on the committee, so we did not have
But
access.
Scott, my friends knew where to go. How did they know that?
The campaigns generally ran, lists, and those lists were shared. So it was internal Pennsylvania people who shared their needs, and then we found the people to fulfill those needs. And once a list is cut, whether it's a canvassing list or a walk sheet,
So
they
really, it
run.
would be up to them to avoid duplication. They say, oh, well, we don't need you, Montgomery. We got Baltimore or whatever.
But as we found out, I mean, we would be much better off having the Democratic Party of Maryland talk to the Democratic Party of Pennsylvania and have that coordinated at a party level, and then get it down into the troops that we could then activate through our connections, because they don't have the grassroots connections, which is, again, the key element that.
That's what I was trying to get at with this
Yep.
question.
You're right on, John. There's no question. That's where I think the party, though, and I've asked Eva about that, and I've asked Sam about that, and I've asked Michael about that, and that's not, just hadn't been set up yet. So that's key to where they need to, they need to do that part of the job, or at least convey to us what has been done and what is going to be done. And if it's now activist group to activist group, maybe we need to take over as opposed to it being party to party. But we're in a sort of a unique situation, as we know with the Jealous campaign, is there was zero coordination whatsoever between
Yeah, we know that.
the party. And that was a problem.
Is there some reason that I can't just like call up, or Alex, it would be even better, or Erica? Is there some reason why we couldn't just call the central committees in a couple of counties in Pennsylvania that are border counties and just say, hey, we're just interested, we want to help out this year. How did you coordinate last year? Who would we talk to? I don't see why the Democratic Party would get upset about that.
Don't we need to wait until next week? I mean, this is the kind of coordination that.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about next week. I'm not talking about this week.
Huh?
I'm talking about next week, but I mean, then we should be prepared to do that. Although actually, what would be the harm in making a few calls?
Oh,
We've got
John,
all
you're
week to
cutting
do
out
it.
for me. Can you repeat? You're cutting out for me.
Okay. How would it hurt anything just to make a few phone calls this week? Because time is passing very quickly.
Well,
Just see, who
Erica, do you think that this is the kind of coordination that Mike will be talking about when he sends out to the groups? I mean,
I don't know that this is the kind of coordination he will be talking about, but I mean, it may not be bad for us to just to see if we can get access to it for going down,
yeah.
for
My
forward
experience is-
actions.
My
So
experience is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, it's probably nothing that's going to come up on this particular call right here, but I could see it probably coming down the pipeline. So just if we could know if we can have access to it, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. So I'll volunteer to make a call.
Okay, the other thing that I found in contacting the Democrats last time was that, oh, you're going to be lucky to get a 15% return call or email rate. Maybe
Mhm.
10% is what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you do get one or two good people, then you will get an immediate feel for how organized they are and how interested they are in working with us and how interested they are in working with the Democrats. So it shouldn't be that hard if you can find those key people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can make a few calls and see how it goes. We'll
That'd be
go from
great.
So can we talk about Nancy Walker for a minute? In a charitable sense, that I haven't contacted her. I think I've sent her an email about what we're trying to do, but I haven't heard anything back. Do we need to, how can we finesse this situation, get her more more connected to what is happening here?
Scott, do you have a phone number for her?
Yeah, what's your goal with Nancy?
I have one. She emailed me. I emailed her and she emailed me back just with the
Okay.
telephone number.
What'd she
Oh,
say?
okay.
Right, because are you trying to do that through the Jaywalkers? Because she's had, my understanding, she's had no affiliation with the Jaywalkers for a better part of a year. She does nothing with the Do the Most Good anymore. She's not involved with the Women's
Slow
Democrat.
down, Scott. I can't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
My understanding is Nancy Walker has had no affiliation with the Jaywalkers for most of a year. She's not had any affiliation with Do the Most Good for last year and a half or 2 years, and she's had no affiliation with the Women's Democratic Club. She used to be on their board, and she dropped out of that. So I'm trying to think what angle you'd like Nancy Walker to bring into the equation.
Well, for me, but then maybe it's the leadership of Jaywalkers. Do you feel as though we need to network with them before the call next week, just to bring them on board? And they seem to be the most organized, maybe second only or similar to Baltimore, but that brings in a very powerful group.
Yeah, they have board meetings every week, sometimes twice a week. I mean, it's extremely active in its planning. So I don't think Nancy Walker has anything to do with it anymore.
Can you get us on the agenda?
You pulled out of that one. I missed your.
Okay, so
Can you repeat that?
okay, so can you get us on the agenda for this? Oh my, I'm having trouble with internet line.
Yeah.
But is there a way you could get us on the agenda for one of their board meetings and we can just talk about what we're trying to do? And
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem. I mean, John Hines is the one who's pretty much the one who's sort of leading that, but he also runs a bunch of daycare centers. Let's just say his life has been somewhat disrupted over the last few. But I'll reach out. But effectively, they've got, I guess, the they to the we. If it's a matter of just trying to coordinate with Pennsylvania, is that the primary gist of the question? Or is it for all sorts of export, regardless of whether it's Pennsylvania or Delaware or Virginia, DC?
yeah, well, just, talk about the work we're trying to do with the party and see what kind of blowback we get from that. Just kind of feel them out and clue them in on what's happening.
Yeah, because I've been quite a bit of the interaction between the two. I mean, since I have my foot in both as well. That's why I was on the Field and Data Committee with the Democratic Party, as was John, as was Barbara, as was that. So we were all involved in that same stage of working with Sam Hubbard and the Field and Data team, which was going to basically coordinating an entire field operation, but significantly looking at it in export. Chuck Cook is another one of the individuals who's been involved with that. There are a bunch of folks, but it was sort of on hold, and while they're going again through the leadership changes with Maya, everything that got put on hold, and then with Sam leaving, it got put on hold again. So I think we're ready now, and I've had a quick conversation with Michael. I know I'm repeating myself, but as far as whether we're ready to start having that coordination between the grassroots and the party, and it was still sort of on hold as of a month ago, 6 weeks ago, when I had that conversation. So I think we're ready at that stage, but effectively is what does the party want from or need from the jaywalkers as one of the groups, but the coordinating what needs to go on, for example, in Pennsylvania is completely outside anything the jaywalkers specifically do. They're just more of a pool of lots and lots and lots of soldiers, but looking for good direction. So that's what we need from the party.
Okay. So I'm kind of lost. I think what would help me is if we could go through our individual to-do lists before we hang up. And there's no reason to consider hanging up right now, but I'm just kind of like, okay, these are all good ideas. What's the most important thing that needs to get done? Erica?
I think that as we wait on the meeting, I think I would probably be better to call PA to see if we can get the voter access to the voter records or whatever, voter file.
That'd be fabulous.
We'll see where they start, you know, how they react. I'll try to get a feel for them. I don't know if Alex or if you guys want to contact Jay Walker, since you guys are like probably more in tune to the players with that organization, to get us on the meeting. I mean, to get us on the agenda, the next meeting agenda. But I really don't know, other than that, what we can really do until after we meet with Mike and the groups next week.
Hey,
I mean-
Erica, can I ask you a question just while I think of it?
Sure.
How did you get the 40 groups, 40 emails? What did you do for them?
Yeah, so I looked through the spreadsheet, the database, and I can filter out only the Maryland groups because I figured we wanted to start with Maryland. And then I looked to see if they had a website, if that was available. And next I wanted to see if there was an email address, since I knew that he really wanted to get these sent out for the meeting next week in a timely manner. So I figured those will be the first round that we would go with.
Okay.
And then as we get contact information for others, I'll feed him those as well. But I kind of filtered it out by those bases, you know, just say if it was Maryland, if we had some type of contact information to get in contact with them.
Okay, that very logical, sounds good to me. There's going to be one bounce back, but I mean, yeah, but
Okay.
yeah.
I think we have some. That's why I put more than 20, because I'm like, you know, maybe 10 or something, you know, and there'd still be more than 20. But he was actually okay with me giving him more than 20. He said he was okay with that. So
Okay.
that was a good place to start.
So you and I maybe need to talk separately of how to update the database, and
Yeah.
I sent you an email that I would be looking for event calendars for people other than jaywalkers, because that's sophisticated, but I'll start looking at other event calendars and what's on Facebook to get an idea if there's any consolidation going on in outside of Montgomery County.
Okay.
And you're doing any work, Erica, as far as the PA Dems and the Turn PA Blue?
No,
Okay. 'Cause those are-
no. Is that one that we should look at?
what Do the Most Good is already is working in conjunction with the PA Dems and Turn
That
PA.
is, yes, I'm sorry. That is on the list. That's on the spreadsheet.
The Do the Most Goods or the PA Dems? and the-
Do the most good.
And
Is that Barbara?
actually, I can call it up now. Scott, I'll show you the consolidated database that I shared with now Sylvia Shear, because I've been in contact with her. She contributed to this back in 2017. Database that I had cultivated from the Grassroots Coordinating Committee and from Virtual Resistance. So it hasn't been updated. I think maybe the last would be 2018 at best. So, it needs work. I was telling Erica that we have 325 group names and 244 or so emails, which is amazing because we have more group names than emails. But and then as part of the database, there's a unique row for each email in order to facilitate a mass emailing. So, I'll send you a copy of that. I also have it password protected, and I'll have to text you the password to it.
Okay.
Did that work for you, Erica?
It did. Mhm.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So, and in terms of like how deep we want to get into phone banking,
Yeah.
I'm not sure we want to. Hi, John.
Hey guys, my battery's dying and I didn't bring my power supply to the church, so I'm gonna have to sign out.
Okay. Is there anything on your to-do list?
What?
Is there anything that's on John's to-do list? I don't have,
I don't think so.
okay.
I love it. You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
See you later.
So, where was I?
I think you were talking about how much we want to get involved in the phone banking.
Yeah, I don't think we want to actually do the phone bank as much as, I think we're going to have enough work just trying to coordinate the type of
Yeah.
coordination we're doing right now, and cultivating the list, cultivating, where the events are being posted, and keeping the party informed of events.
Yeah, that was my thoughts, but I wanted to run it by you guys to see, not that he asked for it, but I'm like, okay, if this does come up after, like how involved do we want to get with this?
Right. We need to know that answer before we go into next week's conversation. You're right.
Erica, do you plan on participating in the Maryland Dems export webinar tomorrow?
What time is it?
I think it's a 6:30. It's an entire webinar on the Maryland Dems doing export to Pennsylvania and North Carolina, Virginia.
Okay, yeah. I don't have the information though.
I don't see that anywhere, and I've been looking for events. Who is sponsoring? Is Maryland Dems sponsoring that?
I'll get you another one.
Okay.
I'll
Can you
pop it up in the chat. Yeah,
Okay,
have it in the chat.
got it.
Yes,
Thanks.
6:30.
Thank you.
Yes, this is part of the continued conversations we've had about how to actually start doing export, because Maryland is not really a high priority for need to nail down the Democratic plurality.
Not this year, but in 2022.
Right, and that's already ramping up. That's why getting out into Western Maryland and Eastern Shore and stuff is already part of the conversation.
Okay.
Right now it's exports, and then even for the Jaywalkers do the most good, and we are all pretty much the same group. It's a matter of how do we coordinate export, and I think this is a result of the conversations we've had back in December and January and February about making sure everybody knows how to do export work and how much of a priority that is.
Okay.
But this is effectively what I think what we need to do is, if we've got access to additional grassroots groups that are not participating, just pulling them in and getting a centralized place for this. And we've also been talking about a master calendar, and I know, Alex, you've been working on that too, but the Democratic Party still does not have a master calendar of events, and Mobilize is one of those elements. We've been looking at doing our own, but the party itself, and I've made the suggestion multiple times to both Michael and also to the data folks, to look into doing a master calendar for all the grassroots organizations. But at the same time, the grassroots organizations need to know what's going on at higher levels, so they're not creating new events that run over the top of, or conflict with other major events that are being coordinated by the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, or for the PA Turn PA Blue, or the Wave Maryland Coalition. So it's going both ways, but it's not in place yet. So this is one of those one of those actions, so hopefully to coordinate it as.
I have someone's at the door. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah. So I've not actually heard about this particular event, what they're doing for it, the agenda.
Which one, man?
That one.
The one again?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Okay, sorry about that.
Well, one thing you might notice about the link I just sent to, it's, powered by Mobilize. So
Mhm.
this is the Democratic Party event that's on Mobilize, and Mobilize is aware of it and it's signing it up. So it's starting to get cross-pollinated because Mobilize is nationwide as opposed to just statewide. So this is I think a good example of getting Democratic Party events up into Mobilize. Now we have to just see whether getting all these other various grassroots organization events through the Democratic Party is going to work. And Alex, do we have an update on that at all? Have you had any further conversations as far as the calendar merging?
No, it is pretty much dead on the doorstep of MDEMS. They don't really want to do any mass loadings. They don't seem to be interested in a consolidated calendar. But I think when we start getting some useful information, they'll be interested. I don't know what else to say. I've beaten my head against the wall on this with both the Democratic Party, with Mobilize, and then with the MDEMS. And the only way I can think of doing this is kind of piecemeal through, in addition to what is on the Jaywalker site, going through the websites of the database that we have and look at, but I think primarily they are populating Facebook pages, which is very difficult to repost. So, so that's where I stand with it. I see the importance of it, and yet I can't get anybody else lit up over it.
Was that pushback coming from Eva or was it coming from Michael?
Yeah, it's just like a lack of interest. And I went as far as to ask them, can we use your account to upload things? And that didn't get picked up. It's sort of like, well, you can upload it. And then I need to do it in mass. Well, we really can't do it in mass. You lose some of the functionality. So I don't know how much of the functionality you lose, because I've never gotten that far with it. But that's the end of the last conversation. And even today, Erica was asking whether there were any resources to throw at grassroots groups. If there were any, I would like to buy our own subscription to Mobilize, but they don't have money. As Erica was saying, they don't have money for grassroots groups, just for local party, Democratic Party needs. So that's where we stand. And I'd love to hear more about what you're doing, or talk to John Hines directly, or be on the agenda.
Well, the feedback from the last conversation or last meeting we had was that I had talked with John, and they can actually go through the smart sheets and do an Excel export, and that Excel export is what Mobilize can use as their import. And that's one of the things they'd like to do, is to be able to export their entire list, but there's no way that they're going to do one at a time times 900 events.
Right.
So that was where it was left, at the fact that the Jaywalkers and the Democratic Party need to have that interface if they want to get it out further than just the Jaywalkers' own system. And that's already where it was, for example. But if we were to have a meeting, if we get John on the line, the whole question would be, okay, what's the status now with the Democratic Party? And if we don't have that to offer, then I don't say that's sort of what they're waiting for, is getting that permission. Because I told them we were working with the Democratic Party, with Mobilize, to try to find a bulk upload, because they don't have that yet. And so that's what we're waiting on, or what Jaywalkers is waiting on us to finalize whatever workings there are for the Democratic Party bulk upload.
Oh, well,
it's not that we need to get back to Jaywalkers. I mean, I work with them. I helped John build the entire system. I was one of the founders. I mean, it's not that there's a need to get in there, but they in a sense have their hands full. Like I said, we had 900 events already on the schedule as of January or February. So do we
Yeah.
want to unload another 1,000 from other groups? Well, probably not needed unless there's going to be some coordination. And since we're not coordinating anything outside Montgomery County right now, the question is how the party, which does work cross county and through the different central committees, how they wanted to pick that up and run with it. But if they're not going to pick up and run with it, it doesn't do any good essentially for the jaywalkers to get involved with something the party's not going to get involved with. It's not going to get up into Mobilize, and it's not going to get outside of our already existing group, because our already existing mailing list is actually as large as the whole Democratic parties.
Well, I don't know what to say, except that it would be interesting that this gets raised during the meeting with Mike next week. But I have a feeling Mike will be as flat-footed in his response as they've been with me. They don't really understand the need for this right now. All they're working on is trying to get a phone bank set up for Pennsylvania, is what it sounds like. They're singular in their mission without even understanding the duplication that this could raise. Is that a fair statement, Erica?
I think so, because that was the gist of our call today. That was majority. Of everything that was raised was about PA. Yeah, so I can definitely tell that's where the bulk of the attention is.
And if we set up this infrastructure, then this is something we need for 2022, like this kind of calendar, this kind of feed coming out of jaywalkers, this coordination with outside of Montgomery County, and the understanding within Mobilize. I mean, I haven't, been treated so poorly since I left my government job, but that's another story. They were snotty. Like, well, if you can't get organizations to put their events in our Mobilize, then I just don't know what you can do. Well, that's not the kind of, customer help, and that's not leaning forward in the saddle at all. And I got it twice out of this organization. I'm at a loss to get people to understand the importance of this, which is why I kind of turned my attention to at least cultivating a database at this point, and then attacking it from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I guess on my to-do list then is to go through and see where the events are located for outside of Montgomery County, and hope that we get on the agenda to talk to jaywalkers before the meeting next week, because I think jaywalkers needs to bring this up. It's not just me. I don't know what they think of me, the cat lady or something, raising this and getting exercised over this topic. I think it needs to come from jaywalkers in order to gain some tread.
I say I've already brought it up to Erica, to Eva directly. I've already brought it up to Mike directly. I've already brought it up to.
How long ago was that, Scott?
It was during session. I stopped in there twice during session, so it was February-ish.
Yeah, and I've talked to them since then, and it's still not a part. It doesn't matter to them.
Right. But again, one of the things we also do have to be careful of, though, for example, I'll send you another quick link. I mean, if you go into the Mobilize link that is the Turn PA Blue link, when I just sent you, I mean, there are, all sorts of events for Turn PA Blue, and each one is going to virtual phone banks, and county by county, and their individual get out the votes, and there's get registered, and there's home phone banking, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that's already in place through the Turn PA Blue organization, which is in tight coordination with the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. So part of what we have to be careful of is, if they've already got this in place, and they're already on Mobilize, and they're already coordinating with the Maryland Democratic Party, and this is already being publicized by Do the Most Good, and it's already being publicized by the Jaywalkers, and it's already on the Jaywalkers list of events, are we going to add something else on top of that, or are we?
Right,
We have to be
right.
clear
And
about
then
is
you
what is
start
it
getting into the duplication of event listing. That's true. No, I think we could stay busy enough just trying to find out what's going on in other counties
Yeah.
without.
And say part of the, by having access to a lot of grassroots organizations, one of the best things we could possibly do is even just point people to what's already out there and just let that be the
Yeah.
value added, is the fact that, listen,
Yeah.
if you want to help with Pennsylvania, here's a link through Turn PA Blue.
Mhm.
And just have that, make sure that's in all the newsletters and make sure it's in all the emails going on out saying, hey, we need your involvement. Here's a sign up list and here's a sign up list and here's a place here. And if you want to get involved in Virginia, here's where you go. And if you want Pennsylvania, here's where you go. And just even just having good, accurate, up-to-date signups on other sites would be, I think, very, very productive, because not every single grassroots organization is in touch with all these other groups. And the Democratic Party is not doing it as a push, and they're not doing a reach out. But again, it may be the value added what we can do, because we've got so many different groups that we're working off of, from the virtual resistance to the WNDC's pieces, is just to make sure all these grassroots organizations know that there are where the need is and where to sign up, but without our actually doing any signups or coordinating it or trying to add a whole nother website or a whole nother sign up list on top of all of it. So I'm a strong advocate for making sure everybody knows about it, but minimizing and not having any duplication, because there's got to be coordination, minimizing duplication, but at the same time we got to have lots of replication
Yeah.
of the existing information, not reproducing.
You're right.
themselves, but
Yep, that was elegantly said. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so I guess we're on standby then for the email from Mike. And possibly an invite to the Jaywalkers board meeting, if you feel that it would be a tactical thing to do, Scott, or you yourself. And
I mean, I'm
get
still,
back.
I'm still, as much as it's already in place, I'm still very much in touch with what's going on. And I'm part of the Jaywalkers. I'm still part of that. I'm part of the Do the Most Good. I'm in it, and sort of, I already know what the Jaywalkers know, and I've already had the conversations with John and know what they need or what they'd like next is bulk
Okay.
uploaded. But if their bulk uploading is going to just be 100% duplication of what they're getting from the PA Dems coming through the Maryland Dems, that's not necessary. So it's that coordination of who has access to what, where if we've got 900 events coming through already in our pipeline, but 450 of them are already duplicates coming through the PA Dems, we don't need to have those sent to the Maryland Dems to put into their system, which will duplicate the PA Dems and duplicate the Jaywalkers. So we have three signups for the same event. What we really should be doing is making sure that
Right.
a centralized signup note is getting spread through all these different organizations without anybody doing any duplication of process.
Individual loading, yeah. But I think it'd be good for Jaywalkers and Do the Most Good and whatever, that they have a heads up about this meeting. Well, I guess the invite would be heads up enough to get them thinking about the issues that they need to raise. For us, the important one would be the calendar and
Okay.
event posting.
Erica, did you say that
Tomorrow paper.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry
tomorrow.
about that. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Have a good one.
Right.
Okay.
Did you say, Erica, Do the Most Good is part of the call?
It is, yeah. It is on that spreadsheet.
Okay, is that Barbara Naveau? You know?
That sounds familiar.
She's executive director, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her
We
name's
talked to her last week.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's on there. But if
Okay.
not, I'll make
So-
sure she. If not, I'll make sure she's on there.
Okay, so Erica.
She is the contact. Yeah, but I'm gonna write it down just in case. And if it's not on there, I'll put her as the contact, as the executive. What is she, the executive director?
Correct.
Okay.
Or else if you could share with me who you have down as listening for Do the Most Good, because I'm
Sure. I can do that too.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
How much longer are you going to be? I need to do some more testing here with the system.
if we're ready to wrap up, Alex?
Yeah, I think so. So I'm just, let's see, I've got to recruit for people to talk to conservative folks in the Pennsylvania activists, get together a list for Mike as promised. And then I'm going to work on the database and look for event listings for outside of Montgomery County. And you've already sent us the invite to the MGEMS meeting tomorrow?
Should be in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay. And Erica, who are you you're calling activists in, let's see, local party groups in border Pennsylvania?
Right. So I
And
figured,
then,
yeah, I figured I would start with, I don't know, maybe the Dem Central Committee, maybe somewhere in there, to see if they're released. I don't know if they'll share anything with us. And then from there, I'll try to track down some organizations to see what they have in PA. But I thought maybe starting with the Central Democratic Committee or Club would be the best.
Right, the PA Dems are also highly unmobilized. They've
Okay.
they've got a bunch that's out there already.
Okay.
So what, I guess one of the questions may be that if whether, just to get an understanding of who is coordinating any type of grassroots events in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Because again, without trying to duplicate or replicate, if the Maryland Dems are already talking to the Pennsylvania Dems, then we don't need to duplicate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they have a grassroots organization, because I know, again, Do the Most Good, we already broadcast on our pages the PA Dems links, and we have the Turn PA Blue links, and a lot of their events are already in the Jaywalkers list of events to do for official sign up. So there's already a whole lot of linkage going on, and I don't want us to essentially walk in and say, is anything going on when since
Right.
Right.
there is a lot going on.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we got to be clear about what it is that we're offering to them and what we need from them,
Right.
keeping it nice and simple, because there's already a lot going on and we don't want to. And so I think it's being clear, saying, well, listen, we're talking about, we've got a list of 125 Maryland or local grassroots groups, and we want to make sure that if Pennsylvania needs help, what's the best way they can help? Who do you have coordinating grassroots activities? And they may say, listen, it's all coordinated right now. It's all going through our website. Go here to the PA Dems. We're putting everything into Mobilize. Anything they want to do, just go pick whatever they want and fine. And if that's the case, then just spreading the PA Dems links throughout all the grassroots organizations we have on our list would be the most effective way we could do it, because that fits into the Pennsylvania's coordination plan for getting everybody involved. And if they're trying to centralize it through just one website and one sign up, that's the most efficient for them, rather than having 10 or 15 or 20 or 125 different groups all coming at them saying, how can we help? How can we help? So
Okay.
as we found out with a lot of, from the OSIF campaign to the Quist campaign to Abram, and to all those, is that minimizing the number of contacts that a campaign has makes it much easier for them. And so if they have a centralized Maryland contact that can get the word out to all the Democratic activist groups or progressive activist groups, and it's one call, that's really efficient. If they've got to call 20, 30, 40 groups, that's not, and it gets confusing. So I think the best thing we can do is to try to be a funnel point or a distribution point for a coordinated activity if it already exists. And that's, I guess, the question we need to find out is how organized are the Pennsylvania groups?
Yeah.
And if it's all going through Turn PA Blue and PA Dems and it's already in place, then what we really should do is not try to reinvent it, is just focus everybody to getting to those links. And
Yeah, and that's part of the quid pro quo here is we'd like to find out what you're doing, where your lists, what your lists are. We were talking about lists for a little while there, but I guess that's kind of OBE, that we don't want their list as much as where their events are. Is that?
well, if they have separate, if they would like grassroots to grassroots communication, then we need to get their grassroots organizations. If they
Yeah.
would rather everybody go through the Democratic Party, regardless of whether you were from a Maryland grassroots or whether you're from a Pennsylvania grassroots or whether you're up north at a New York grassroots organization, they're all funneling it through the PA Dems Mobilize website. If that's what they would like, then that's the best way to coordinate it. But if we have a bunch of Maryland grassroots organization contacts that we can share with them, if they want to do it individually, then we have that to offer. If they would rather their single piece of information be spread out to all of our groups, then that becomes what we have to offer, is to be able to get the word out, and they don't have to do anything. So that's that.
Yeah.
What is it we're really
And
offering?
that might be the way we want to go anyway, just for branding purposes and in terms of the people participating, because in sharing email lists, it starts to share PII, and we can maybe get ourselves into a lot of trouble by sharing our list too far. And it's certainly something we don't want hacked at any point either.
Right.
So, so it might be that when you're talking to them as part of the quid pro quo, we can offer that we send something out to our grassroots groups, and that way we can more closely monitor unsubscribes and blowback, any hostile blowback from too many emails or whatever people want to say.
Mhm. Okay.
So. So I think we're done, right, today?
Thank you, Alex. Let's give John his Zoom back and he can,
I know, he's got the best background.
I know. Cool.
there.
Hi,
Now it's
guys.
All right.
So now what I have to do is switch from Zoom. I'm going to actually take this same Zoom, not you guys, but a Zoom session, and live stream through YouTube.
fabulous.
Yeah, so it's quite a discovery we've made here, and hopefully it'll sound good. Scott, are you available in the next 15 minutes at all, just to listen to the sound quality?
Yeah, sure. It's actually, you want to do it as soon as we're close up this call?
Yeah, I think Erica and I will get off then.
Yeah.
Erica, you and I can talk further about the cultivation list. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Pleasure, guys.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not sure I can hang up. I'm the organizer. Can I hang up?
I can always just redo it if you do.
Okay, I'll hang up. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
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 So Scott,
Actually, Alex, before you hang up,
Oh, she's gone, I think.
okay, and we're still live, so therefore, yeah,
Oh.
she can actually throw the hosting over to John, which apparently she's done. So I think we're all set.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye, Erica.
Scott, I'm going to try to find the YouTube URL and send it to you. What I want you to do is watch it on YouTube, not in Zoom, but
Okay.
stay on Zoom so we can talk. Okay? Give me just a couple minutes here.
Okay. And you also know you can also stream it through Facebook.
Well, that's what we want to do next. So, but let me get through one at a time here.
Yep. But at
Yeah, I
one-
saw that. I saw that option, but you can't do both, unfortunately.
Didn't know that.
I mean, I don't see how you could do both this. Well, I could try it in a second, but let me just start something. So copy streaming link. That's what I want.
Right.
Okay, so let me send you an email.
Which account do you guys have that on this? Do you have a pro account? Are you using the free one still, or
I have a
you?
pro account. It's my own, but I make it available to Alex. I could, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the one that allows you to do the live streaming. The free account does not.
I don't know about this, about that part of it.
I do, because I've been looking it up.
But I just bought it because I knew I needed it. Okay, just sending you the link. Yeah, so what I want to figure out, first of all, I've got like 4 microphones. None of them are within 10 feet of me right now. And apparently you're still hearing me, so that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Hold on, let me make absolutely sure. Okay, let me,
I'm across the room too. Can you hear me?
yeah,
I'm gonna go to a second computer so I can be on Zoom on one and YouTube on the other.
I might get feedback if I go to my own YouTube. We'll find out in a second here.
We'll just pretend it's the birds chirping. Chirp,
Well, I
chirp,
see-
chirp, 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 chirp.
Alec, you back? Alex, you back? Oh, that must be the old
Yeah,
live stream.
I'm not seeing her.
Okay, so I'm seeing an old live stream.
I'm just seeing you.
Okay, but you're on YouTube?
Not yet.
Okay, well, I'm seeing the old. I might have to start over again, Scott. I think this is what's going to happen. I have to end the Zoom and start over because that YouTube was apparently recorded. That link is not live. I'm going to drop out of Zoom and start over.
Okay.